Welcome back to the news today. The Greek government is racing to finalize a reform plan for an international bailout by a midnight deadline, and with hopes that this one will get approval and help stop a catastrophe in the Eurozone. Ayman Siksik looks at what default could mean for Greece and what can be learned from the history.
Athens, the setting of nowadays most severe financial crisis in Europe. Banks remain closed. Drugstores and pharmacies are quickly running out of life-saving supplies. The European Union said this week it is prepared for a Grexit, in which case humanitarian aid will be delivered to Greece. A meeting of all European Union members is expected on Sunday. But even if a deal is reached, how long will it be till Greek businesses recover?
I would say that the entrepreneurship in Greece is in an asphyxiation condition, and this will not change for a long time. Even if we have an agreement on Sunday, the market will require at least 2 months in order to recover.
And this is the best-case scenario. This week, Eurozone members gave Greece until the end of the week to come up with a proposal for reforms in return for loans that will keep the country from crashing into economic ruin. If a deal is not reached on Sunday, Greece will not be the only country that suffers.
Our inability to find agreement may lead to the bankruptcy of Greece and the insolvency of its banking system. And for sure, it will be most painful for the Greek people. I have no doubt that this will affect all Europe.
But how have similar crises been dealt with before? In 2001, Argentina defaulted on a total of $93 billion of external debt. The following year, inflation rose to over 40% and real GDP dropped 11%. Argentina's bondholders sued to be repaid 100% of their bonds' face value. The deteriorating situation in Argentina led to mass protests as citizens feared for their future and safety across the country. But it was leadership that turned things around. President Nestor Kirchner announced in 2005 he would liquidate the country's remaining debt, effectively announcing the largest debt restructuring in modern history. The debt was owed to the International Monetary Fund, the very same fund Greece failed to pay €1.6 billion to on June 30th.
Whenever the IMF is involved, it is certainly my view that the IMF has to follow its rules, should not bend the rules, and should always be even-handed. There cannot be any special treatment.
But will Greece receive special treatment from Russia? A difficult question to answer for a country who's previously defaulted on debt as well. In 1998, Russia devalued the ruble and defaulted on domestic debt. The following year, inflation reached 84% and banks were closed down, all ahead of the mass millennium celebrations in Moscow, which still went ahead as planned. Nearly 20 years on, many say Russia must be enjoying watching the EU bend backwards in attempts to save Greece from exiting the Eurozone. For Greek Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras, receiving financial help from Russia is a tempting but far-fetched idea, as Moscow slowly suffocates under increased sanctions. But the Greek Prime Minister has quickly become known for making unpredictable moves, and the next one could be reaching out to an equally controversial leader for a helping hand.
Yes, and with me right now to try to explain to us what this is about. Ayman Siksik.
Good evening, Lucy.
Good evening. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
So let's talk about the role of Russia.
Yes. Well, this is possibly the greatest love affair that could have been, Greece and Russia, but likely now never will be. This could have worked out so good for Greece. It would have helped it pay the debt, the first payment of the debt, €1.6 billion to the IMF. Russia could have helped with that potentially.
How can Russia help with that when Russia is suffering from sanctions?
Well, that's the problem. For Putin, this is a missed opportunity. He would have loved to seize this because even better from Greece, it would have helped Russia. way, way more than it would have helped Greece. First of all, it would have had an ally in the Middle East that is on the European Union Council and would have voted against more sanctions on Russia. And Russia is struggling. Its economy is plummeting because of these sanctions that have now been extended to January 2016. If it had Greece there and it paid Greece a good amount of money, Greece would have objected to further sanctions on the country.
You know, we've been talking today, and you said, you know, I appreciate what Tsipras is doing, because it's like he revived the entire left, let's say, in Europe and said, hey, we didn't disappear yet.
That's right. I mean, Tsipras is reminding Europe, I feel, of what a social left is, what it means on the social level, asking the people what they feel, asking the people what they want. And for Greece specifically, this is something that's culturally ingrained in the culture. This goes back to ancient Greece when citizens were asked if the country should go on a military operation or not. Can you imagine if Israel asked the people if it should go on a protective edge or not? Who knows if we would have seen a military operation or not? But so that a resounding no that the Greek people said really changed history, both for Greece and Tsipras himself.
You know, I'm trying to think, because definitely he's a social prime minister. He is definitely putting socialism back on the table and not being ashamed of it. But on the other hand, when you're going and you're combining forces with Russia, Vladimir Putin is not let's say, maybe he's social on social media, but I don't think that he's so social in his own country.
That's right. I think we should remember that Tsipras is extremely pragmatic. He visited Moscow twice in the past months in order to help promote a kind of deal, a financial deal between him and Moscow. Sadly, Putin didn't have the money. And he's asking Putin, who's heavily involved, allegedly, in Ukraine in a big military operation costing thousands of lives, to help him bail out of this debt. So Tsipras is a leader that also knows when to give in a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think that it was also only to promote, but also to provoke. I'm N66. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Lucy.
Thank you.